rocking out though. You're our madman. You're doing things that like, most people kind of wish that they could do, or they're like planning for it all the time. Or they're like, I should start a podcast. Like me, like I'm speaking like about myself. Like I should start a podcast and do like a stream and everything. Totally. And then now there's no, where it's like we actually have the time to do it. So you actually took action though, which is like the big differentiator. Is that like everybody knows like I should do something, but we always have the excuse of I just don't have time to do it. But now we have all the time in the world, and you're the one that actually took action when everybody's kind of like, well.
Oh, dude, all thanks to coronavirus, man. Like literally, that was what kicked my ass into gear to make sure that I actually like did something. Cause same thing. I was talking about it for like the team was probably sick of me talking about it. It was like 18 months. We got to do a show, and we just never did it. Okay, so pre-roll is up. I just put it into the Zoom chat, the link to the page, and you'll be able to find the post there. And then I'm also gonna make your life easy, give you some share copy if you want to use that. Feel free to edit as you wish. The formatting might be a bit weird in Zoom, so you might have to, like, once you copy and paste that out, you might have to reformat. But it's all in the Zoom chat. And then I'm gonna start doing some shares on my side too.
Oh, this is awesome. Dude, you make this so easy. See, like you got this systematically down. You've been studying the entrepreneur operating system, haven't you? Systematizing everything. You got
systematize everything. Yeah, man. Systemize everything, baby.
You guys still following EOS?
Still what? Sorry.
You guys still following all the traction tools and everything?
Oh, dude. Scaling Up, man. Have you read Scaling Up?
Oh, it's amazing. It's so much substance into there that it's almost like too much for me, because I'm like, I can't just like sit there. It's not one of those books where you can read before you go to sleep. It's kind of
totally
study, and you're like, I got to implement this stuff quickly. So much stuff to implement into there. It's like taking traction tools to a whole nother level. Like
whole nother level.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah, I can't recommend that book enough. I always end up like just pulling stuff, and you're exactly right. It's so funny. I talk to some people and they're like, oh, you know what, I got the audiobook. I'm like, how do you manage the audiobook? It's one of those books where you like dog ear every page and highlight everything, and
every single thing gets highlighted, and it like almost becomes too much for me, because I'm like, okay, what do I implement and how do I implement? And I think it comes down to, I felt a little bit like that way with like traction tools, and I started to try to do it myself. I'm like, let's just get one of those consultants that they have in traction tools and have them moderate it. And we found such an amazing moderator that she runs the meetings every quarter, and she's so productive, and she's like on point, and it's like
amazing.
The whole team is all accountable. So yeah, I think when it comes to just like a lot of those tools, especially when there's so much substance like that, is just having a great moderator to be kind of like the middle person, so you can be the participant instead of the one that's leading it the whole time and wondering like, okay, what do I say next? How do I make sure it's beneficial for everybody? It's like leaving it to the hands of the people that know how to run it.
Totally. I totally agree. It's one of those where it really is a I actually can't wait to dig into that piece, because that's exactly what I think a lot of people are missing in their lives. It's almost like they go, okay, well, I've got I know that I'm meant to be doing these things. They try it themselves, but then you bring in a pro and it's like a whole other world.
It's like always those things where you kind of try to go the shortcut route, so that way you can save a lot of money. But every once in a while you have to actually make that investment, and the investment pays off, where you're kind of like, where's the payoff? I could run this myself. I could do this all myself. And totally. I think that's kind of the entrepreneur dilemma, that like, we know that we could do all of this stuff ourselves, but that's the problem, is that we shouldn't be doing it all ourselves. Like we should be focusing on, what's the vision of the company? How do we make sure we get everybody to where they want to go? Because eventually we'll get to where we want to go if we get all the team members going where they want to go. How do I figure out, what is it that they want out of this whole entire thing? What's the game that they want to play? Here's the game that I want to play, but like, what's the game that they want to play in their life, and figuring that stuff out? Then rather than like, man, I'm going to do all this stuff myself. I'm going to buy the media. I'm going to do all the Excel sheets. I'm going to run all the meetings. I'm going to also like to keep everybody accountable. We're going to have one-on-ones every single day and all that stuff. Like, man, it'll just cause so many challenges of like running us to the ground and working 7 days a week and everything, even though we love it and it feels great to do it and we want to do it. But man, there's so much more for us to do that would benefit the world in a better way.
Absolutely. Yo, if you're just joining us, we are gonna have a totally fire conversation coming up. I'm super pumped. If you're just joining us, do us a favor, be our tech check guinea pigs. Just make sure that you can hear us, you can see us, both Ruben and I, because over the next hour is gonna be really fun. Say hi in the comments. Make sure you say hi. We want to make sure that you can see us, you can hear us. Make sure you say hi, and we are about to kick off in just around 3.5 minutes, and we're gonna go live. And I cannot wait to dig in with Ruben. Ruben and I haven't seen each other for, oh my God, no wait, it can't be. Wait, was it Vegas? Was it Barcelona? Oh
no, I think it was Vegas. I think it's Vegas. It was Vegas. Yeah, I think it was Vegas. Oh, that was such a blast.
And that was such a long time ago too. It feels like, I don't know, it feels like time contracted and expanded both at the same time. Ooh, we got a bit of a freeze going on. Hey, for joining us, make sure you say hi in the comments so I can say hi back. There we go, we're back.
There we go. We're back in. Good old Zoom.
I hear ya. It's so funny watching the hey,
all the memes that all too.
Oh yeah. it's so good watching like all these school teachers try to navigate Zoom and figure it out, like, and I'm like, wait a second, it's not that hard. Like,
yeah,
your students can figure it out, why can't you?
Yeah. How old is your stepson?
15 this year.
15. So you're experiencing it. You're experiencing like the emails from the principals like on Monday saying we're continuing with distance learning this year, and then on Friday you get the email again of we had a great week of distance learning. All of our teachers are now transitioning over. It's like, say something of substance, like what's going to happen with these kids next year. Like say what's going to happen over the summer. What is the school offering or anything like that? Like it's crazy too. We're in the universities and colleges space, so it's kind of interesting how higher ed like is dealing with all this compared to some of these teachers that are now of like they're in the retirement age now. A lot of the teachers are in retirement age.
Yeah.
This year, and they're probably like, thank goodness, because they can barely use a computer themselves, and now they've got to get kids to use computers and using Zoom and using Google Classroom and all that stuff. So they're probably like, oh, I'm not ready for this at all. I need to hop out of this as soon as possible. It's so
for sure
crazy.
And you can almost my tell is always when teachers use the word IT systems as if it's like as if it's some kind of foreign concept, like it's we gotta plug into the IT systems. I'm like, it's just Zoom, guys, it's not that hard.
IT system as if it's like some high-tech thing where it's like something crazy. Totally.
It's like they say the word IT systems as if they're trying to use some kind of super sophisticated term like quantum physics or quantum mechanics or something. It's wild, man. I can't wait. Okay, we got 30 seconds to go, and we're gonna pop this thing off. So good. Okay, let's make sure that I've got everything firing off here. We've got, all right, you know what? We've got 20 seconds. Let's get this thing rolling, huh? Popping into the intro. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are now Live. Thank you so much for joining us once again. This is the Growth and Greatness Show, where we talk to people, and the show is for people that are on their path towards growth and greatness. And today's guest is Ruben Resendez. Now, Ruben and I first met a minute ago, quite a while ago actually, in Barcelona, and I remember very vividly being in this dinner that was organized for essentially what was a VIP mastermind, and there was this guy that was like just smiling all the time and super good natured. I remember I've never met this guy before, but there's something about him, and he's probably one of those like gentle giants. And by giants, I mean he's probably doing something pretty big. So I want to intro Ruben properly, and then we're just going to jump over straight up and jump into the conversation. So Ruben knew nothing about affiliate marketing before 2008, when he got hired by an affiliate network and advertiser to scale their affiliate network. So once introduced, then Ruben discovered his passion for affiliate marketing, where it combined the two things he loved: technology and working with people. Now, after seeing the affiliates he was managing generate revenues of upwards to $250,000 a month, and they get to travel the world, Ruben went, you know what, I'm going to go all in, and worked to get to know everything about the affiliate marketing space, and then became friends with the largest affiliates in the space. Now, after 4 years and that's a grind, that's 4 years, right? Not exactly 4 months. He spent 4 years studying and building someone else's business to a $34 million company. He took the dive to go out on his own. I can't wait to dig in about this. Now, riddled with self-doubt and challenges to start his own affiliate marketing business with only $500 to his name, he overcame all the odds and became the founder of the fastest growing education lead generation firm in the US. And they're on pace to do over $30 million by the end of this year, 2020. Ruben now inspires a whole bunch of budding entrepreneurs that come from disadvantaged backgrounds, and he helps them build belief in themselves to build a successful business. You can see there's a lot going on. I cannot wait to dig in. In fact, let us jump on over right now. Ruben, thank you so much for taking the time to jump on this, man. I'm so happy that you're here.
Absolutely, man. I know, no kidding. You're the one that makes me smile the most, I think. I think looking at your smile, you make me smile right back. Dude, the stuff that you're doing is ridiculous. It inspires me. You actually execute on this stuff, and it inspires me and motivates me and lights that fire under my butt to say, man, what is my excuse? D's like everywhere, and he's everywhere like quickly. And getting to know, well, one of my goals was to get to know some of the biggest people in the space, and dude, you're one of them, and now you're one of my greatest friends that inspires me every day with how much you put out there, how much dedication that you have, and what you're able to balance all in doing it and excelling. And dude, I'm honored just to be talking with you right now.
Dude, right back at you, man. It's funny. So the conventional wisdom is that most podcasts don't survive past 20 episodes. That seems to be the magic number. I think it's because like after 20 episodes, most podcast hosts just like gas out because they're not getting the views they want, they're not getting the traction they want. So I'm working up towards my 20, and then 50 after that is my next milestone. We are on episode 18 today, so I cannot wait to see where this thing goes. But I do appreciate you. You are one of the few people that put out a lot of positivity on social. And not only positivity in the fluffy type of way. There is a lot of tough love in there. There is a lot of being a guiding, or putting out guiding messages seems to be your theme. Before we start at the start, what drives, like, where does that come from? This constantly putting out challenging statements on your social, or taking photos of yourself and putting out almost quotable quotes to challenge other people to be their best selves. Where does that come from?
Dude, that's a good question, because I think it comes from me dealing with those challenges myself, that in starting my business and even just growing through life, I wish I would run into somebody like me that would tell me that, like, hey, it's not about what you see on social of like all the cars, the girls, the lifestyle and everything, because I think people can get so jaded by seeing that all the time. But, everybody goes through challenges. I'm a real person just like everybody else. I have challenges just like everybody else. It's just that I deal with heavier challenges to see the heavier and greater blessings that are on the other side. So my whole entire mission in life is, previously, before when I started my business, it was more of like, how do I just make money as soon as possible so I can support my son? That's all I wanted to do. And now it's more of like, how can I inspire those people that were just like me when I was growing up in high school? I used to think I grew up on the east side of San Jose, which most people would say is like the wrong side of the tracks, where, nobody in my family's ever been an entrepreneur or built businesses or anything like that. So I grew up thinking whatever life my parents had is the life that I would have, that all the success and all that stuff is for other people. There's something different about those other people that is not inside me. It's something within their blood or something within their genes or their genetics, or it comes from family lines. And I literally used to think like that. So now it's like, what I want to do. And the reason why I'm even talking to you too, D, is and I'm on here is because I want to let people know that it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter, what your last name is. All that matters is what are you going to do today to get closer to where you really want to go in life? And how do you become clear and concise on where you want to go? So everything that I spread is that, there is a big power when you look at the positives of everything. Like, I love what you had said. Like, the best thing that happened was this whole entire COVID-19 thing, or the Corona thing that happened. When you look at it, that it's happening for you instead of happening to you, then the whole entire world on the outside completely changes. So I feel like I've tapped into something that I wish I had tapped into a long, long time ago, because it would have saved me so much frustration. That I just want people, if I can inspire at least one person to say, you know what, if that guy who is an idiot, he has like no background behind doing any of that stuff, can do it, then like, why not me? And like, if I can spark that into somebody, then I feel like I've done my duty here on this earth, that my whole entire duty is leave this earth better than when it was when I came into it. So if I were to pass away tomorrow, if I knew that, one person was inspired by something that I put out and something that they read, that it turned their day around just because they read it that day, I know the power of that it's going to be a ripple effect where, if I can affect somebody in one positive way, then I think I've done my job and my mission of what I want to do. And then it brings more positivity to me and puts a bigger smile on my face. And that's where I get the greatest fulfillment, when I know that somebody kind of says like, hey, I saw your post and I continue to see your posts. Like, keep on going and keep on doing it. And it's inspiring me. Like, the stuff that you talk about, I actually relate to it. And then there's the other side of the people are like, that's so stupid. Some of the stuff that you talk about, give me another quote. Like, we run into them, give me a smart quote or something of that sort. I'm like, hey, I know that you need it because I need it. Hey, and I'm not like Mr. Superman or anything like that. Like, I need as much positivity as possible. And it takes work for me to be positive every single day. And when I associate with people like you, D, like you make me even more positive. Where I'm like, you know what? It's not weird for me to be positive. It's not weird for me to have a smile on my face. It's not weird for me to think like this, because I've got great friends that think like this, and they think even bigger than I think. So maybe it's a little weird that I'm thinking so small, that I'm thinking positively maybe 90% of the day. I need to think positively like 99% of the day, like D does. That's why he's got a great big smile on my face. So when I put stuff out there, I feel it more of like, if I can inspire somebody to do something with their life, then I feel like I've done my duty and my job here on this earth. And that's just my whole entire mission of why I put out some of those things. And I run into so many challenges all the time. And I kind of want to share those challenges of like, hey, if you're going through this too, I'm going through it, man. And it's not easy every single day, but we never have bad days. We just have bad moments. That's all it is.
Amazing. And that resonates so much. By the way, for those of you that are joining us on the live right now, make sure that you do tag a friend, because this is going to be a really great episode. Ruben shares very openly about his upbringing, his humble beginnings, and where he's at right now. And he just dropped a really awesome line, and I want to make sure that your friends don't miss it. So make sure you tag a friend that needs to see this, even if it's not the live, for the recording. Back to what you're talking about. You now 18 episodes in. First of all, you're the second person that mentioned that line, life happens for me, not to me, which is such a powerful way to look at your circumstance and your situation, and understand that you are in control of the decisions that you make within your life. Following that, also, that your reality is what you perceive it to be, right? It's a self-narrative type of thing. And then the second thing that you mentioned, which is super insightful as well, is the fact that it sounds like And again, a lot of the other people that I've spoken to so far exhibit the same thing. It sounds like a legacy is a big part of what drives you, right? The fact that you can impact one person, or the fact that you can leave a mark on one person's life, that's good enough. Like if you know that, you're accomplishing your mission for the day. It's almost like my good deed for the day. Let me go
Yeah.
tomorrow, and then let me do my good deed for tomorrow.
It's crazy because everybody always asks me what was the turning point, like when did it turn around when you went from like moving having to move back in with your parents while you're building your business, when you went on food stamps, and what was the turning point in your business to go to now on pace to do 30 million this year and such. What was the turning point? I think that was one of the major turning points, is that when it went from just being about me and it went about being about other people. That was one of the biggest turning points, is that it wasn't just about me anymore. It was more of how can I give to other people, how can I make sure that I am of value and of service to other people, and how do I get more people involved. Like once I started getting some of my friends involved in the business, and I realized, like, shoot, they're relying on me, like them and their families are relying on me to give it my all every single day. And once it became about them instead of becoming about me, I started learning that I'll actually do more for other people than I'll do for myself. And I learned that actually at a Tony Robbins event that I went to. Like they had us walk on fire, and before they had us walk on fire, they paired us up with a stranger. So they paired us up with a stranger, and they're like, "All right, talk to this person on exactly why you're going to walk on fire and everything." So there was this older lady that I was talking to, and she was like, I lost 100 pounds, and the reason why I want to walk on fire is I want to make sure that I continue my health, so that way my kids know that you don't have to be 100 pounds overweight, that you can live a healthy lifestyle. I'm doing it all for my kids. And when she was talking about it, I could just see her eyes starting to tear up in it all. And I said, wow, that is an amazing story. And at that time I was kind of thinking of like, man, I don't think I want to like walk on this fire. This is so
Of
stupid. I haven't
course.
even eaten dinner in like the past 7 hours or anything like that. Like, why am I going to walk on fire? It's already like 1:30 in the morning right now. Like I should be going to sleep, and I'm working on like 4 hours of sleep right now. And then Tony Robbins goes, all right, so that person you just shared the story with, that's the person you're going to walk on fire with. I was like, oh man, I am not going to let this lady down. Like, I am not going to like back out and say like, oh, sorry, I can't do it with you anymore, after she just almost cried saying like why she was going to do it. And I did it, and I walked on fire. That I realized that, if it were just about me, then I would have just walked out and been like, I'm hungry, I'm tired, like I'm done with this, I don't need to walk on fire. When it became about her instead, I was like, I'm gonna do as much as whatever it takes. I'll walk on fire to make sure that she's not alone in walking on fire. So I started learning that the more team members I get involved with the company, then the more that I feel like I owe them a service. That if they believed in my vision enough to be a part of this movement, then I'm gonna make sure I do whatever it takes to make sure they get to where they want to go. And now I feel like when it becomes about other people rather than about us ourselves, we see such a dramatic difference in our lives, in the outer lives. And it sounds so reverse of how I thought about it previously. Before, I just thought like, if I just work 12, 15 hours a day and it's all about me and I'll make more money, why am I going to have other team members? Like, that's going to be a bigger expense. And like, I'm not going to spend money on that when I could just be putting that money in my pocket. Like I used to think that way. And I was just grinding myself to the ground the whole entire time. But once it became about other people rather than about me, then I realized, man, this is amazing. Like stuff starts happening and great things start happening in my life, and in my personal life, in my business life, and in their lives too, that I realize that if I can be of a service to more people, and more people that I don't even know, then there's a ripple effect that takes effect, that I eventually get more than what I give out. And if I give out more than what I get, then it's just a ripple effect that continues to be an exchange with the universe back and forth of how can I throw more of myself out into the universe, because I usually get more in return when I throw more out. So how can I throw more out? How can I throw more of my knowledge, more of the stuff that I know, more of the stuff that I've learned? I've had to go through the challenges and, have my face grinded in the floor and hit rock bottom and everything. How do I make sure that not everybody has to hit rock bottom? Like I made that sacrifice, but not everybody has to make that sacrifice. They can learn from my experience instead. So that's why I like sharing a lot of my experience in that way.
Wow. Wow. That resonates a lot with me, coming from that same I guess that same type of narrative. And it's so interesting how you mentioned the ripple effect and the fact that there is a almost a compounding boomerang effect that happens as well. So it's not 100% super cheesy, super altruistic. There is personal gain that comes out of it as well. And it sounds like once you see the light, that it comes back tenfold, it comes back much stronger. And there's alignment between the fact that other people get value in their own lives, and it comes back to you. Then it really is self-nourishing. It's not a full altruism, but nothing comes back. It frustrates you and it exhausts you. It really gives you energy as well, which is so powerful.
It does. It does. But that's crazy. Of like you had mentioned like energy, because you start studying how energy works and how I can fill myself up with more energy, that I can get more energy by giving more energy to someone else. And I get fulfilled even in that way, that I don't need to be like all hyped up on stimulants and such like that too, because if I can give more of my energy to other people, then I'll get more and more energy from them as well. But then you can start feeling everybody's energies of like, man, D's always got a positive energy. Every time I see him, every time we talk, it's always like, man, I want to be around D a lot more, because he's always positive all the time. Then you could start realizing, some of the people that have negative energy, where you're like, man, as soon as they walk in the room, I just kind of feel drained. I know there's something a little going on. Whatever he's saying, it sounds all good and everything, but I think there's something more going behind. Like, I don't know what it is, but I can feel that energy. So when you start playing around with your own energies and just start to throw that energy out to there and start realizing what type of energies fill you up, then you start realizing, all right, I think I can interact with people a little bit more in a totally different manner.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's so funny how it actually relates all the way back to the laws of thermodynamics. This is physics, right? So a body, any type of system only has a finite amount of energy, and the only way that it can increase the energy that it holds is from an external source. So it really goes the other way as well. If it drains you, or if it drains or gains, it really does come back. Now, you brought up a really good point that I'd love to dig into. You mentioned before, and I want to make sure that we don't undervalue a comment that you made in the previous phrase that you had. So you mentioned before that you hit rock bottom, and not too many people would have experienced that for themselves. I'm sure some of our viewers would have in their own version of rock bottom. Paint us a picture. What did your rock bottom look like?
Yeah, that's good actually, because I used to be ashamed of it, because whenever you hit rock bottom, you don't really want to share that with other people, because it was rock bottom. But I realized my test eventually become my testimony, that I can inspire more people if I can expose myself to, the rock bottoms that I did hit, and not being ashamed of it, and realizing once I share it a lot more, then I'm less and less ashamed of it, and more I can inspire more people, because it's more relatable that some people have gone through some of those things. So like after I got myself fired from the job I was working at and building an affiliate network and all of that stuff at the previous job, I lived on unemployment for about a good 6 months. So after about 6 months, I was just building my business and everything. But then after 6 months, my unemployment ran out. So I think they were paying me somewhere around maybe like $1,200 a month or something like that in unemployment to live. So I was like, if I just live on this $1,200 and I can eventually get this business off the ground within 6 months, and then I'll be able to pay myself in that way. Well, 6 months goes by and I get a couple of my friends involved, and I was like, man, I don't have enough money to pay myself, but I have enough to pay the affiliates that I'm working with, and I have enough money to pay my friends that I got involved. So I'd rather pay my friends and the affiliates and make sure that we pay payments on time than I pay myself. So I went so broke that I moved back in with my parents in my early 30s, which was the most embarrassing thing I think I've ever done in my life. I hadn't lived with my parents in probably over, I think it was like 12 or 13 years, and I've been living on my own. So to move back in with them was embarrassing, but not only that, but also move in my son back in with them too. So I was so embarrassed that I went so broke in doing that I went even lower from there, that I didn't have any money that was coming in. So I went so broke that I wasn't going to ask my parents for money. Like, my parents are not like super wealthy or anything of that sort. They're wealthy in relationships, wealthy in life, but not wealthy in the monetary form. So I wasn't going to go and ask them for money. So it went so far down low that I went on food stamps. And food stamps here in the US is pretty much the government pays for your food. They give you like a certain amount, I think it was like 300 or 400 bucks a month. So that way you have this little card. I actually carry this card around with me still, even to this day, in my wallet. So it reminds me to be grateful for everything that I have. And it's right behind my debit card. So every time I use my debit card, I get reminded of
Wow.
the time that I hit rock bottom, and to be respectful for every penny that I have and every dollar that I have, because that moment was the biggest rock bottom that I hit, where I was like, man, I'm literally on food stamps. Oh, I'm like, I can't go any lower than this. I'm on food stamps, can't even pay for my own son's food or anything of that sort. Was going through so many other challenges with my son's mom at the time and everything too, because she still wanted child support and the whole entire deal. I'm like, man, I'm on food stamps. How am I
Yeah.
going to pay you? Like all this stuff too. But it was great because it all happened for me. At that time, I didn't think it was happening for me, but I thought, why is this all happening to me all at one time? I'm just trying to build a business. I'm trying to do something great for my family. But I started realizing that I'm glad that I went through that, because it made me respect a penny. And until you respect a penny, you don't deserve a dollar. Until you respect a dollar, you don't deserve $1,000. Until you respect $1,000, you don't deserve $1,000,000. So it taught me how to respect it a lot more. And it taught me that, how to leave all the money inside the business so that way it can fuel our future endeavors later on. So that was like the biggest rock bottom moment. But even during that rock bottom moment, I was still saying these things of like wild things, and was writing down my goals every single morning and every single night, saying like, I live in a downtown high rise overlooking the entire city. I own a company generating over $30 million in net revenue per year, while I'm over here living in my parents' house on food stamps every single
Wow.
morning, every single night, writing this stuff down. And it's amazing now. We go back to, I think that was like back in maybe like, man, 2014, I believe. So now what, like 6 years later, I live in a downtown high rise overlooking the entire city, and have a company that's on pace to do over 30 million in revenue this year. So it's amazing, like the power of intention, and like the power of like your mind, of like when you tell your mind that you are something, that you're great, you start looking at things in a different way. But we all have our rock bottom moments where like at that time, I was being offered jobs that were going to pay me six figures and everything. And everybody was telling me, yeah, you should go and like work for this. Even my mom was saying, hey, why don't you send me your resume, and then I'll go send it to the people over at work. They're hiring right now and everything. I was like, that's not what I was meant to do. And when I look back at it, I look back at, the reason why I even got into the industry is because when my son was born, I was going out with his mom and barely knew her for about 3 or 4 months. And it was 2008 when that happened. And that was like the biggest financial crash
Mm-hmm.
in the US. And I was doing financial services at that time, living on 100% commission. And I only had maybe about 300 bucks to my name at that time, didn't know when the next check was going to come in. So I was like, man, I don't know when the next check is going to come in. I've got this girl I'm going out with that says that like she's pregnant with my son. I got to go get one of those jobs. And all my mentors have always said, never get a job, never sell your time for money or anything of that sort. And I was like, man, but I'm like about to hit rock bottom right now. I need to go and find a job. So I went on Craigslist and found this internet marketing and lead generation firm that was in the education space, and they had an affiliate network, and they had a job as an affiliate manager. I knew nothing about it whatsoever. Didn't even know what it meant, what internet marketing was. All I knew was like a $30,000 salary and like uncapped commissions that they were offering. So like I just need a paycheck like yesterday. So I got into it, and then that's when I found the whole entire space of affiliate marketing, and I found my passion. Once I saw like what all these affiliates were doing, I said, man, this combines in the best of both worlds. It combines in the technology aspect of everything. When I was in high school, I wanted to be a computer hacker. So I was like, man, this kind of like makes it feel like I'm a computer hacker, where I could like, they write some stuff on ad copy and they make people click on things that like they've never met before. I was like, it reminds me so much of like hacking somebody's like computer and doing it. And you get to talk to people. So I was like, man, this combines in the best of both worlds. I want to do this for the rest of my life. That, when I look back at it, if my son was never born, then I would never have found affiliate
Mm-hmm.
marketing or the internet marketing space. I wouldn't even be talking to you today. So when I hit that second rock bottom moment of going on food stamps and everything, I looked at my son and I was like, man, this kid was born for a reason. He was born to point me in this direction. He was born for an absolute reason, that he was born for me, rather than saying like, oh, this is bringing me down. That's when all my dreams and all my goals are done. I've got a kid now and everything, that my dreams and goals all go out the window, all from there. If I look at him in a different way of like, man, this kid was born so that my dreams and goals would be fueled so much more. So he's like the fuel to my fire. When I look at him, it's like, man, he was delivered by the universe to push me to the next level. So when I went through those big challenging times, that's when I looked at him as the biggest motivating factor. I looked at all the different things in my life that led me to that moment and started really putting the pieces together and saying, all this stuff actually happened for me. You know, I grew up on the east side of San Jose, and none of my family ever like started businesses or anything like that. Like all that stuff is happening for me, so that way I can stand here and be like, man, nothing about me says I should run a $30 million business whatsoever. Yet everything about me says I should. Where I need to be the one that stands up to say, you know what, if the shackles can be taken off of my feet, and I can take my shackles off by studying every single day of how my mind works, studying every day about business, studying every day and becoming obsessed about what I really want and what I really want to do, then if I take action on all that, I can make it all happen. That if I can inspire somebody else to do the same exact thing, then I think they can overcome anything. But I think 95% of people, when they hit that wall, and we all hit that wall when we're trying to do something great with our lives, that you either retreat and say like, I'm going to go back to where it's easy and comfortable, or we say, I'm going to hit this wall as hard as possible, as long as it takes until I see a little crack in that wall. Then as soon as I see a little crack, I'm going to exploit it and I'm going to go straight through it. And after you go straight through it, you're so much stronger for it that you can actually handle the blessings on the other side too. So I feel like it all happened for me to go through the rock bottom and having it hit rock bottom. And I kind of feel like there's such a big blessing when you do hit rock bottom, because at that point, there's nowhere to go but up. So as long as you can look up, you can still get up. And that's all you have to do, is just pick yourself up and say, one step in front of the other, one step in front of the other.
Wow. Yeah. As long as you can look up, you can get up. That's amazing. How, back when you were, so, I can almost picture it. And as you were telling that story, it feels like I can almost see the movie happening in my head. Ruben in his early 30s. Naturally, when you're in your early 30s, you have a very different social life to in your 20s. You have to move back to into your parents' home. You're on unemployment and you're on food stamps and you've got your son with you. What during that time, where did you find the resources or the direction to understand I still have to maintain that positive mindset? I should live with intention. I should write those things down. Was that did you actively go look for that stuff, or was that stuff already in your life before then?
So what was amazing is when I got into the financial services business, it's what opened me up to all these personal development books. Like the
Right.
book that made the biggest difference in my life was Think and Grow Rich. And, like I was an average, like BC student in high school. So I'm not one that's going to be like, I'm going to pick up a book and read after I graduate high school, like whatsoever, like not at all. But I started seeing like a lot of my friends that were being very successful in doing the things that they were doing at like 21 and 22. And I'm like, what is it that you're doing? And they're like, hey, read some of these books. And these are friends that like wouldn't usually read books at all, but they started reading these books and becoming very successful in doing what they did. So I started picking up some of these books like Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Beyond Positive Thinking, The Power of Thinking Big, and like books like that opened up my mind of like how your brain works and how to manifest things that you really want in life.
Right.
So I kind of lost that though once I got into the job, because I got a little comfortable making six figures as I was working for another company. So I got comfortable. I was like, okay, this is like, oh, all right, I'm doing okay and everything. But it wasn't until I started the business again that I started getting back into the personal development stuff. I started realizing that I'm starting to feel a little bit more negative. And it took me back to the personal development side of things. And I started looking at all these YouTube videos of just typing in motivation for the morning. And then I would wake up in the morning, instead of an alarm clock, it would be a YouTube motivational video by like E.T. the hip hop preacher, or like Joel Osteen, or another guy named Art Williams that would always be like talking all the time saying like, you can do this. Like, you're the one, Les Brown. and waking up as my alarm clock. So it helped me stay positive throughout the day. And as soon as I feel a little negative, I'll just go on a YouTube roll of like all these motivational
Wow.
speeches that would be out there, Tony Robbins and everybody else, Grant Cardone. And I would just study them and be obsessed. And on the weekends, what I would do is just to take a little bit of a break, I would spend about an hour of just watching these YouTube videos and studying everything about Tony Robbins, everything he has and content out there. I would just listen to it over and over and over and over. I would start reciting it too and saying it out loud. So I would start speaking on him a little bit more. Same thing
Wow.
with Grant Cardone and everybody else, E.T. the hip hop preacher. And then it started rubbing off on my son because E.T. the hip hop preacher had this thing called, was it Thank God It's Monday, TGIM. So thank God it's Monday. We listened to that every morning before I would drop him off to go to school. And he started saying it in the back of the car, thank God it's
That's
Monday.
cool.
And
That's
that's like the new
cool.
thing that he started talking about. And that kept me positive throughout the day, is that like in this day and age, like there's so much knowledge that's out there that if you don't go and grab that knowledge, it really is on us at that point. Like you don't need a physical mentor to be there face to face with you anymore. Like you can be mentored by some of these people that are on YouTube and just go deep into all their content of everything they have on YouTube and learning about their mindset and what they talk about. Then eventually you start seeing some patterns of like, man, they're talking about the same thing. They're talking about how the inside affects the outside. And I keep on hearing this over and over for the past like 2 or 3 months from various different people. And then I realized maybe there's something there about like the inside affects the outside. I need to fix something on the inside so that way my outside would be a better life in that way and be a little bit more like how I want my reality to be. And when you apply that, man, it just like takes your business and takes your relationships into a whole nother level. That's like way beyond everything. But it can't be just listening to it. There has to be some execution involved too. Like I learned how to use Photoshop. I learned how to code myself. I learned how to design websites myself. Like I did all of that until like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and did it so much that it just became fun. That now I'm almost like addicted to the drug where I've got to roll that stuff off. Like we were talking about earlier, D, like I think that's the entrepreneur dilemma, that we could do everything, but we shouldn't be doing everything. So now I'm like a drug addict that needs to be get off the drug and saying like, we've got team members that can do this now. Like, how do I get this so that way the team members can do it? But I'm so addicted to the drug. It's like, I want to do it all the time. I want to keep on doing it and keep on doing it, but I shouldn't, because there's more value that I can add to other team members by helping them and duplicating myself onto them rather than me doing it all the time. So I think that's what helps me like really stay positive. And still, even to this day, I still got to listen to the motivational videos every single morning. And usually at night, still got to read the books and everything too. So it's not like, oh, a one stop and I'm done type of thing. It's like an every single day process, like going to the gym. We're not going to
Yes.
lose like 15 pounds and keep it off by just going for a month in January. Like we got to do it every single day, day by day, step by step. It doesn't happen just by saying like, oh, I'm going to put in 1 month and now it's happened complete. I never have to go back to it again. It's like, you got to have the discipline to do it every single day. That's the big challenge though, is that like the winners do it and do it and do it until the job gets done. Because only a few people can stay excited for 2 or 3 months, or 2 or 3 weeks, 2 or 3 years, but the winners do it until the job gets done.
I hear you, man. I got goosebumps when you said that. Thank God it's Monday thing. That got me. That was super awesome. You served up the perfect segue in terms of chronological timeline from back then to right now. Ruben, what is it like running a company that's on track to do 30 million?
Man, it's exciting, but yet it's challenging at the same time. But I think that's what makes it exciting, is that it's challenging, because now there's more teammates involved. We have over 15 teammates that are involved, and not including contractors and everything too, not including our call center that we have. We have 20 agents in our call center, so not including them. That I think
Wow.
about them every single morning. You know, like I think about their families every single morning. And I think about their families and them every single day, 7 days a week, that it doesn't go away whatsoever. And the more team members that are involved, the more people that I think about and saying like, I got to give my all. I need to make sure that I'm making it happen every single day. So now, but that's the exciting part, is that I can affect their life in a positive manner. That we have like every single day at 9 a.m., we do a morning huddle, and we keep it to only 15 minutes to make sure that we're not cutting into anybody's time and we're not wasting any time either. but we have everybody say like, what's one positive thing that's happened to you over the past 24 hours? What's one positive thing that's in your life over the past 24 hours? I'm sure you can find something that is positive, whether it's I got up and I'm breathing today. That's a win. That's a positive. And how do we stack those wins over and over and over? So now it's more of like, how do I figure out how to keep team members focused, and how do I inspire them to stay positive every day? Because there's no use if I'm the only one that's positive and I'm like the only one smiling while there's like 14 other people, 15 other people that are like not smiling and they're having the worst day possible. It's like, how can I affect a whole bunch of people all at one time to be positive and know that the way that their inside feels is going to affect the outside? That if they're taken care of inside, then the business is going to be taken care of too. So I know if I can help them and help their own insides, then everything else in the business is going to be taken care of. So it's way deeper than just like, how do I teach you how to run Facebook ads? How do I teach you how to do email marketing? Like, it's way more than just like, how do I teach you how to sell? It's more of like, how do we figure out what's the biggest challenge that's happening? You know, like I noticed that you're not making as many calls as you once were before. Like, is there something going on? You know, like, is there maybe something going on at home? Like, is there something that's like really bothering you right now? How do I figure out, how do we get you to where you want to go? Because eventually we'll get to where we want to go. So now it's more of like, okay, now we need systems. Now we need processes. When it was just me and it was just me running ads and doing Facebook ads and such like that, like we didn't need systems and processes, because I'll build a landing page, I'll create the landing page, I'll do the back end stuff, and I'll do the launches, and I'll do the campaigns, I'll do the optimizations and everything. And I liked it because I didn't have to teach anybody. But then now I got to think of like, okay, how do I systematize that process? How do I systematize it step by step? Because I'm not so great that like somebody can't do what I'm doing. I just need to put it all on paper of like, step one, create an account. Step two, apply the account to here. Like step three, so that way like a fifth grader can do it if he read it all the way through. So now it's more of, how do I create systems and processes so that way within the next 3 years we become $100 million company? Because unfortunately for our team members,
Wow.
I'm not a manager, I'm a grower. So I like to grow, I like to lead. I have to make sure that tomorrow is going to be way better than it was today. And it's got to be growth. We have to have growth because we have team members that are involved. We need to make sure we get them to where they want to go too. So how do I systematize the process? So if we get 15 more team members involved within the next 12 months, then they can run the system without me being the one training them all the time, without like our managers being the one training them all the time. How can they read just like a playbook and a manual of, all right, this is what it takes to build all the stuff that I need to do, and I can take it off from there. And now it's more of like, okay, how do I build the vision, and how do I create that vision and make that vision a reality every single day? And how do I get everybody to hop on the train and get their belief level so high that once their belief level is at the same belief level that I have, then we will make it. But until their belief level is there, I got to make sure that we get their belief level there. So I got to run into like any challenges that they have when I see them doubting a little bit, that like, hey, we're going to be $100 million company in the next 3 years. So if I feel a little doubt from them, it's like, how do we get your belief level up a little bit more? And everybody always has a little bit of doubt until they see it become a reality. And then that's where the faith part really comes in, of faith that, you know, it's going to happen and it will happen. And we have that strong belief that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. And how do we get everybody on the same page in that way? So that's where like we were talking about, like the entrepreneur operating system, how do we do like our weekly level 10s that we do to get everybody on path and saying, let's make sure we're still focused on the goal. Like there's all these shiny objects that we could do. We could do this, we could do that, but is it still along the lines of where we want to be in the next 3 years? Is it going to get us closer to where we want to be in the next 3 years? Or is it something just like very shiny and very exciting to get into right now? So keeping the team focused and aligned is now like my main priority and main goal. And now like we have such a big, unique opportunity focusing on universities and colleges that are online. Now, like kids have to study online. So our business is in like such a unique period right now that it's almost recession proof when it goes opposite to the economy. So when the US economy is low, our business actually does greater because everybody goes back to school. And now it's like the perfect storm because they have to study online, and our online school,
Yes.
like now we have a huge demand. So now our challenge is more
Wow.
of how do we make sure we fulfill that demand? Because it's a huge demand that we weren't seeing coming. Now it's more, okay, we need to beef up our systems and processes a little bit more.
Of course, and naturally all the prep work, and because you were already thinking in systems and processes and bottleneck elimination and being able to be a scalable company, you are now, unwittingly or not, you are now primed to pounce on this, even though, of course, I think any entrepreneur that wants aggressive growth will always go, we need to be doing better. But the primer was already there, as opposed to if Ruben was the bottleneck for everything and everyone had to ask Ruben how to do something, or everyone had to ask Ruben permission on, hey, is it okay, boss, if I do this? Or hey, boss, is it okay if I do that? I think you'd be in a world of hurt right now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I'm still dealing with that a little bit more too, of continuing to unravel that and just giving the power to the team members and saying, like, you make a way better decision than I do. Like, honestly,
Wow.
you're way better on this call than I am. Like, you really don't need me on this call because you are way better on these calls and with conversations and with clients. And of course they're saying like, no, I think you're great. You should be on this call, on this call. I'm like, no, I don't need to be on it because you're way better than I am. And it's better if I'm not on it because you're the go-to person. So now it's more of like giving the
Amazing.
belief to everybody and saying like, hey, I trust you 110%. I trust you even more than I trust myself because I'm focused on all these other departments and everything. You're deep in the department. Like you can make a way better decision than I will. So you make the decision. So it's like continuing to give that confirmation to the team of like, you can make this decision. Like you got the power and there's no losing at all. If you make a mistake, that's actually okay because that means that you're trying to grow and you're trying to do something that nobody's ever done before. So we've got this motto that either I win or I learn, but I never lose. So we win or
Wow.
we learn, but we never lose. It's always a learning experience. So we're not going to like slap your hand because you made a mistake. We're actually going to say, all right, what did we learn from this? How do we learn from it? And how do we become stronger because of it? It's like a muscle, like a muscle needs to be torn down for it to be built up. That, we're going to have some growing pains. There's going to be some challenges, but we may make some mistakes, but it's okay. But I give you that power to make that decision. And if you make a mistake, I'll be there to pick you up to make sure like we can go and make this happen together and become stronger for it. So now it's more of the unraveling of like, you can make this decision on your own and you can make a way better decision than I can.
Wow. What an exciting culture and environment to be a part of. Let's do, before we're getting to the tail end of the show. Before we go into my favorite 12 questions, let's do a bit of role play really quickly. So Ruben, I'm just starting my firm and I'm doing everything myself. And I just can't seem to, I don't know how you do it, man. Every time I try to get someone on the team, I just can't trust them. They mess up all the time. Like, meanwhile, you've got teams and you're saying, I trust you and all that. Like, how do I get into even the headspace of, like, I can't trust them. Every time I get them to do it, they screw up. So I should do it myself, right?
Well, what's your values, D? What are your personal values of like what you value in yourself? Like if you were to look at yourself and you were to hire yourself, what is it that you would value in that person? What is it? Is it just them being positive or them being a constant learner all the time? What are your values? Like our values are, we stand for the 4 P's, which is positivity, personal growth, pulling together, and personal accountability. So when we hire people, we look for those 4 things that we know, like as long as they have those 4 things, we can teach all the other stuff, the skills and everything else. But as long as they have the 4 things, like the only thing we can't teach is attitude. So if they don't have the right attitude, we're just going to be really, really frustrated with ourselves in doing it. But I think it comes down to, do you know what your values are? What is your company values that you value yourself, and being clear on your values? And that's what I would say is like, what are your values? What do you value the most in a company that you want to see in a company? And does that person embody those values? And if not, then maybe they're not the right person. But if they do, then you could teach them the skills. But it's about asking the right questions. I think that's the biggest challenge that we have. And I still have even today. How do I ask the right questions? The right questions are like, how do I get them to understand it? It's not how do I get them to understand it. It's more of um, how do I find myself to understand where they're coming from? how do I understand that a lot more rather than how do I get them to understand it? They just don't get it. They just don't get it. And it's more of like, how do I understand what they're coming from, where they're coming from and what they're dealing with so I can figure it out a little bit more. So it's just asking the right questions and becoming clear on what's the company culture? What are the company values? What do you want the companies to be to have as a value? And when you become clear and concise on that, you start attracting people that have those values, and it becomes challenging to find the right to pick because all the people are the right people and they have those values, and it becomes a little bit of a challenge to pick like just one person because maybe you just have like one spot open at the moment. So I think I would say that in that case.
Amazing. What an eloquent answer. I love everything that you said in there. Don't hire solely on utility only. It's not a person that's coming in here just to flip burgers, and as long as they know how to flip the burger, it's fine. If you're building a company, hire on exactly what you said, those 4 Ps. Understand that it's an attitude thing, and everything else is trainable, as opposed to the other way around where they might be highly skilled but the attitude is wrong. You might end up with like a rogue spy within your company that just causes complete turmoil than anything else. And then the next thing you said that really resonated a lot as well is essentially what you're talking about is tactical empathy, right? If I ask the right questions, and I say this was something that hit me a lot within our team as well, the fact that it is the quality of the questions you ask that will give you the quality of the answers you receive. Ask a shit question, get a shit answer. So if we know the best way to ask questions and activate people's minds, wow, is it really a world of difference. It like almost night and day. So I love that you brought that up so much. In fact, I'm on a really big Chris Voss kick right now. He wrote the book Never Split the Difference. He was an FBI hostage negotiator for the longest time, and now he's in the corporate world, in the private sector. And what he talks about is tactical empathy, where it's exactly what you're talking about. How do I understand where they are coming from so that then I can ask the right questions to activate their mind? So powerful. I love that you brought that up. Now, okay, we are getting to my favorite part of the show. For those of you watching that do not know, I repeat this almost every show now. For those of you that do not know, the Growth and Greatness Show was inspired by Inside the Actors Studio, which is hosted by the late James Lipton. It was on Bravo TV for the longest time. And James Lipton had this tradition of asking every guest that comes on the show the same finishing questions, right? And he was inspired by this French host called Bernard Pivot, who did the same thing. So I'm hoping to, in my own small capacity, continue this tradition. It's going to be like a rapid fire type round. You can answer for as long or as short as you like. Are you ready, Ruben?
I think you might have to cut me off if I go a little too long. Sometimes I start rambling, D, so you might have to cut me off to reach all 12 questions.
No problem. It's good. It's gonna be a beautiful thing. Question number 1, Ruben, what is your favorite book?
Think and Grow Rich. Biggest game changer for me.
Amazing. What is your favorite word?
Positivity.
What is your least favorite word?
Negativity.
What turns you on? What can't? Got it. What turns you on? What switches you on?
Other people. Yeah, that turns me on. Of like really lights a fire under me when I hear other people's stories and I hear some of the changes that they've made from just listening to maybe a few things that I've said, or just being involved with me and seeing people's lives change. Other people definitely light a fire under me for sure.
Amazing. And what turns you off?
Negative people for sure. The haters, the critics. I think one of my friends always said, a critic is never doing more than you. They're always doing less than you. Anybody who criticizes you is usually doing less than you, not doing more than you. So critics and haters, they're out there, and there's lots of them that are out there, but they'll try to bring you down like crabs in a bucket. And I've dealt with a lot of them, especially in the area that I grew up in, the neighborhood that I grew up in. And it's a reason why, they are in the situation that they're in because of the way that they look at other people and the way that they criticize other people. So I think that's the biggest thing. That's a biggest turn off for sure.
That is so powerful, the way that you contextualize that. Now, what sound or noise do you love?
Sound or noise, man. That's a tough one. Whew. That's a good question, actually. I never thought about that. Sound or noise? I got, what's one interview question that we ask all the people that we interview is what's on your top 5 Spotify playlist? So I would have to say, music is.
Oh, I might have lost you there for a second. Let's see if you come back. Come on, internet. There we go. Internet is back.
We're on. Are we?
Music.
We're back.
That's where
now.
where I lost you. Top five Spotify is one of the interview questions you asked. So you said music. Was that your answer? Amazing.
That was my answer. Music. Music is the audio I love. So I love being able to work to music and everything too. So that like pumps me up every time I listen to music. That's why I love working behind the computer, because I can listen to music the whole entire time.
And what sound or noise do you hate?
Oh man, sirens. I hate the sound of sirens for sure. We live in downtown over here, so a lot of times we'll hear sirens going down. Like, oh, this is so annoying that some of these sirens are going through. So that's probably a noise that I hate, are sirens. Yeah, I can't deal with that.
What is your favorite curse word?
Probably the S word. I think my son's caught me say it a few times because I'll say it while I'm driving. And I'm like, shit. And I'll be like, oh man, I forgot that. And then he'll catch me every time and say, like, what did you say? What did you say? I was like, oh, shoot. I gotta say shoot instead of
you gotta say shoot or sugar. Sugar.
Sugar. I gotta change it a little bit.
Switch it up. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Oh man, music production. I don't know, there's a few things actually, because growing up, before I wanted to be a computer hacker, I wanted to be a professional skateboarder, and I skated for like a good 6 years. And I think that's what skateboarding saved my life for sure. Because growing up in the neighborhood that I grew up in, there was like a lot of various different gangs and people get involved in really stupid stuff. And I had a friend that I would skate together with, and all we did was skate. So we stayed away from a lot of them, and actually we made friends with a lot of them because they're always do a kickflip, and all these different people that were in these gangs are like, all right, we'll do a kickflip. So they got along with it. They're like, oh, that's pretty cool, whatever you guys are doing. So like skateboarding saved my life. Wow. I wanted to be a professional skateboarder until I think maybe like sophomore year of high school, when I started getting into sports and stuff, and then that's when I wanted to become a computer hacker. But after that, I started getting into like music production, and I love like producing music. My friend would come over like almost, I think, like 3 days a week, and he would just like record to this audio that I would create. I would create like different instrumentals, and he would just rap over the instrumentals, and we had like a little setup in my living room and everything. So I think I would probably be doing music production if I weren't doing what I'm doing today.
Amazing. See now why I love these questions. Stuff that I would not have known whatsoever. Now, what is the greatest piece of advice you've received that helped you grow?
I think the greatest piece, and I write it down every day as my quote of the day, and I've been writing it down probably for the past like 3 years straight, has been nobody ever made it big by playing it small. Because I used to think like, some of the stuff that I achieved, I never imagined I would be able to achieve like 3 years ago. And then one of my mentors had told me, nobody's ever made it big by playing it small. And I thought playing it small by having maybe like 14 members that are part of it, I'm doing decently well, I'm making decent money and everything like that too. Like, we're okay. Let's not mess around with it and start like doing too much into it. Then one of my mentors told me, nobody ever made it big by playing it small. And I was over here like, man, I want to go big, but like, I got to leave good to get great. And I think that's the biggest challenge is like when you're comfortable in being good, you're like, oh, things are good right now. Things are good. But it takes some sacrifice to leave that good behind to go and get great and stay comfortable being uncomfortable and continue to get into uncomfortable environments and continue to, at least get out of your comfort zone and do new things that you've never imagined before. And when you do new things, you start discovering that you have new skills. And you get a lot bigger than you ever thought you could imagine. So the quote that I love the most is, nobody ever made it big by playing it small.
So powerful. And speaking of leaving good to get to great, what does greatness mean to you?
And greatness means that I keep the promises that I make to myself every day. That's what makes me go to great, is that if I keep that promise that I'm going to work out tomorrow in the morning for an hour and a half, then I won and I'm on my way to greatness. If I keep that promise to my team that like, hey, I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do and accomplish these 3 goals that I committed to you, then I'm on my way to greatness. If I, accomplish and we get to 100 million within the next 3 years, then we're on our way to greatness. It's just the beginning, because we're starting to see the things that we've talked about in a vision become a reality. So I think greatness means, being exceptional with your word to yourself. And the more that we keep promises we make to ourselves, the more confident we become in our word and saying, like, if I say I'm going to do something, it's going to happen. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it happen. And I'm going to be great in the process in doing it. So I think it's all about just keeping our own word to ourselves, not just to other people, but like we got to first start with ourselves, that like keeping those promises that we make to ourselves every day. And there's times when we break those promises and we feel bad about ourselves because we break those promises, but we got to keep those promises to ourselves. So I'm a work in progress every single day, is trying to keep that promise that I make to myself. And it's work to do it, but it leads to greatness. And that's the path that I want to go to.
Amazing. And final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You're smiling because I think you know exactly what the answer is going to be. Yeah, I am making sure that he's going to say, you've done well, good and faithful servant, that I get to meet the person I was supposed to be. And that person that I was supposed to be there in heaven is the one that I am that day as well. That person I was supposed to be, that God shows me that he's not a stranger. He was like, man, if you would have just continued to persevere and try to be great, you could have been this person that you now get to meet. That person that I meet is not a stranger. He's the person that I really am. When I reach my last day and I reach those heavenly pearly gates, that I go and like shake out my hand. He says, well done, good and faithful servant. You made sure that you persevered. And look at, here's the person you could have been. And it's the same exact person that you are. All the plans that I had for you, you've done, and you've persevered to making sure that those plans came to fruition. And now let's look back at the legacy that you left behind, that now all these other people behind in your family line and that are associated with you are doing great and going on the path to greatness as well. So that's what I expect to hear once I get there, but it's a work in progress. It's not done yet. So I got to work on it every single day.
Amazing. Clearly not the first time you've put thought and intention to what you're looking to leave behind. Ruben, the past hour has been so enlightening personally for myself, and I hope I'm speaking on behalf of our audience as well. Like I mentioned before, you drop a lot of really inspiring and motivational content. Where can people go to find out more about that information that you share and that wisdom that you share, or the work that you do?
Yeah, so I share a lot on Instagram. So it's at Ruben Resendez on Instagram. So I try to share at least like every other day or so. It's tough to come up with more content, but usually it's like stuff that I deal with myself. I'm like, man, I think if I share this, I can be a little bit more vulnerable and saying like, hey, I go through challenges just like everybody else. If I could put a cool picture behind it too, then it'll grab some attention. So that way somebody will be inspired by it. But then, yeah, our company is adherellc.com. So for some reason, adhere.com was taken already. So we have adherellc.com. We just redesign our website and everything. So that way it's focused on exactly what we do. And it's kind of interesting because when I designed the website like 8 years ago, it's not the same website that we have today, but I designed it specifically to be kind of like in the gray area where nobody really know like what we did if they landed on it. And now it's like, okay, we got to get clear and concise on people landing on it and knowing exactly what we do. So this is, I think, the first time that I'm actually sharing the website, because now I'm proud of the website and what our team actually did. So, and it was just launched over the past couple of weeks. So yeah, you can always contact us there too.
Amazing. You know the man's on a mission when it is on his shirt and in the green screen background, and he brings it up as well. So if I guess for a lesson on being concise and having messaging so that your website communicates exactly what you do and who you serve, adherellc.com, you can start going there. And also if you want to go and get a taste of Ruben's wisdom, his vulnerability, how much he shares. At Ruben Resendez on Instagram, definitely go there. I've seen personally, I'm a follower of your content. I remember such a huge smile on my face when you shared that content around your team awards and how you were dishing out awards and praising people. And I saw how everyone was so emotionally nourished. Things like that really nourish me and going, wow, I can't wait to build a company like that where we can fly everyone in because we're virtual. Fly everyone in and actually hand out these awards. How cool would that be? One day I'm gonna get there too. Ruben, thank you so much for your time, man.
Hopefully you invite me that day, D. You gotta invite me.
Let's make it happen. Either that or we'll try to organize it so that it is in California. Then everyone's a winner. Because man, I love California. Hopefully we can see a world where international travel starts to open up again, at least sometime soon. My man, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate you. Stay on the line. I want to make sure I say bye. And thank you properly. In the meantime, I'm going to address everyone that's watching this and thank them for their time. Ruben, much love, baby. So there we have it. That was Ruben Resendez, the man himself. That was so amazing. I hope you got the same amount of value that I got out of that, because I would feel a bit selfish if I was the only one that got value. If you've watched this and you enjoyed what you saw, please make sure that you tag a friend. They need to watch it as well. And if you're not subscribed already on YouTube or on Facebook, make sure that you hit that subscribe button or that like button or follow button on Facebook so that you do not miss any of these episodes. I'm going to keep driving this. Like I mentioned in every show, 20 is my magic number that I'm getting to so far. We are 2 episodes away from 20. And then after that, I'm going to get to 50. So I do appreciate you for joining this, being on this journey with me. Let's see how far we can take this. I'll see you next time on the next GG show.